Music in the background. That's why I nervously sing to myself. Hey everybody, welcome to Susie's Kitchen. Joking, people, I'm joking. So, hey Maud Betty, how are you? Oh, I don't know. Let's see. You got a haircut, didn't you? Yeah, I got a lot of hairs cut. Waka waka. Just seeing, waiting for people to show up. Hey, people. Debbie and Craig, nice to see you. It feels like forever, hasn't it been? With like Thanksgiving, just kind of threw it in a loop. Yes, nice to see you both, all. Thank you for coming in, everybody. Figure I'll wait a few minutes, getting everybody. Laura Stevens, nice to see you. All good, Craig, trust me. I mispronounced. I think I called you Greg moments ago, and I see Retro Road Husband. I see Jeff Cooper from the UK, who doesn't even celebrate Thanksgiving, though I'm sure he was maybe thankful to have a week off. Yes, Cliff Hillis, nice to see you. And yes, I did. I got my hair cut because things are going back down into, ooh, that's nice. My guy Phil does a pretty good job, I think, huh? So anyway, welcome everybody to, you know what, I forgot. I think this is what I have it written down. Hold on. Episode 48. Can you even believe it? Episode 48 of Facebook, Retro Roadmap Facebook Live, covering one state per episode. Started back in, this is the old song and dance I do, but started way back in March. Remember March when we all thought this would be, we didn't think this would be a thing, and now it's a thing. But yeah, we got home from seeing the orchestra, Cliff playing in the orchestra in Florida in beginning of March, and then we went on lockdown, and then I thought, well, gosh, what can I do sitting in my house? But what I can do is I don't know, entertain people, a little song and dance, a little seltzer in the pants. I can gather you all up in the comment section, so maybe some of you are recognizing other people's names. I mean, that's one of the things I love, I will say, about doing this Retro Roadmap Facebook Live every single week, except for last week because of the holiday, and I think I might have taken my birthday week off. Nice to see you, Brian, and Karawa, and Mimi and Richard Farina time. I kind of had no idea what that means, Jeff Cooper, but I know it means something good. But in any case, yeah, it's been crazy, and I have to thank you all sincerely. I was thinking about this today, honestly, when I was putting on little makeup, little lipstick, because you don't need lipstick when you're wearing a mask, am I right, people? It just gets them all mushy. You know, put a little stuff in my hair. So thank you for giving me the excuse to get off of my couch and get out of my really comfortable leopard skin print bathrobe and show up for you all. So as I was saying, I started at the beginning of March, and we did a couple of weeks where we did double shots. That was aggressive. That was a lot. And now we are way over here, people. Look at us. We are at this little like cheese section, of the U.S., known as Nevada. Nevada sounds so Nevada-y. I'll call it Nevada because I'm from Boston. So Nevada, we're going to talk about this today. And then we only have 3 states left after this week. So next week, it's funny, I had said we were going to do, I think I'm going to go, I can't decide if I'm going to do Washington and then Oregon, or then Oregon and then Washington. Probably Washington, Oregon, and then I'm going to leave, like I told a friend today, New Year's Eve day, not New Year's Day, New Year's Eve day, I will do the last episode of this Retro Roadmap Facebook Live, California, because to me I'm from the East Coast, so any kind of cross-country road trip always ends in California, doesn't it? And that's when everybody gets their TV shows, at least the TV shows I watched, that always happened. But I will be doing that. So today we're going to talk about Nevada. Do I have it hanging up? So yeah, I think next week, I'm just going to kind of plant a little seed here. I think next year I'll be done with all the states, frankly. I'm going to mix it up, and I'm going to figure out a better way, maybe on Zoom, to do a thing where I can do maybe a thing a month, but I can actually have some pictures of the places I am showing you. Because right now, I'm showing you a map with a bunch of things on it, and then you just have to listen to me kind of explain things. I mean, it's good to use the imagination, but it's also good with some of these vintage places that I love so much, and I know you do too, to actually see what I'm talking about. You know, like for example today. Oh, and I will answer your question in a hot minute. Let me just tell people. So, but the thing that I love is to be able to show pictures of things, and hence, that's why I have retroroadmap.com. But Anne says this is her first day tuning in, so welcome. This is actually just some random stuff. She was asking what's in the shelves behind me. So I'll be honest, the top shelf you see right above me is my Retro Roadmap road books. Hint, hint, if anybody wants to buy one, I'm shipping them out this week. retroroadmap.com/shop. We'll do that. And then pretty much everything else is a very organized way of me with my stuff. Like I have jewelry, got jewelry in one thing, my vintage postcard collection. This, it's funny because it's backwards from where you guys are, but this TWA bag, I was so looking forward to using this past summer when I was going to stay at the TWA hotel at JFK Airport. No worries, that will happen this coming summer. But yeah, this is kind of the Retro Roadmap HQ. This is where I have been. So yeah, let's see, there's a little really sassy purse my dear friend Connie Pete made me. There's my Pee Wee Herman lunchbox from high school, or excuse me, college, when I used to leave my camera in it. All sorts of stuff. But today we're going to talk about Nevada. And here's an interesting thing. As you can notice, there's like a little smidgy of places up here that we'll deal with first. I'll mention these, and then I was totally surprised this. Good to know, Jeff Cooper. I am gonna have to look up that, and I think you just put the link to the YouTube about that song. I was actually listening to a Johnny Cash song, and if anybody knows anything about Nevada, you'll know what song I was talking about. When I get to that area, you'll be like, that's why she was listening to Johnny Cash. But then big surprise, a lot of things down here in Vegas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up in this area, and then we're going to work our way down to the corner here, okay? So the neat thing I have discovered, Nevada. Thank you. Nevada. Thank you. I appreciate that. Because it's much easier for me to say that, Nevada. And I am just like everybody, I am safely at home throughout this entirety. I have not traveled anywhere with the exception of, I think we crossed over the state line 3 times, once to New Jersey to pick up something and twice to Delaware, but that's it. Other than that, these are places that I am just talking about. I do my research and I'm telling you about the places in Nevada. So, Nevada. Well, you know what? This is one of the things, Michael, I will have to say that if you're doing the Retro Roadmap Mod Betty Live bingo, and you have the bingo cards that I always joke about, I am always mispronouncing something. So whoever got Mod Betty mispronouncing something, you just got that check. So I'm going to start in Elko, Nevada. And the thing I love about some of these places that are way up here is it's so unpopulated that there are often places that are have the old time things from when people first started inhabiting the land. And I don't mean indigenous people, but more so like the Basque people. So Basque people came over from, originally from Spain, but then also from South America, and they came up when Nevada got populated, and they were mainly sheep herders. And the neat thing is their foodstuffs are things you can still get there. And so instead of being on the road and eating at a boring chain that you're going to do every time, you know what I mean, you're going to see dotted along here, I love to tell you when you can get some interesting regional food in a cool place. And so in Elko, Nevada, the Star Hotel. The Star Hotel is, first of all, it's kind of adorable looking. It's been around since 1910, but it's got this really neat neon sign on the top. So that kind of, sparks a little bit of interest when you're going on the road. And then it's an actual place that has been around since, as I said, over 100 years, and it has Basque food. So it's, you know, homemade soups, they've got salads, their own special house dressing, beans, all sorts of things. A lot of lamb, a lot of meat stuff, because they were sheep herders, you know. And this is a house, excuse me, this is a hotel. It was a hotel, but I'm mainly sending you there as a restaurant because I think they have a few people staying there. It's not really a place you'd stay, but it's the only hotel continuously owned by Basques, and everything is served in a family style setting. So you sit at tables with people you may not know, depending upon the size of your group. And this is a perfect juncture for me to remind you that I am speaking of these places. Now, I do my research, and I literally am researching places up until a few hours before I do my Retro Roadmap Lives. And the reason I do that, that kind of like last minute research is just because I want to make sure that I'm not sending you someplace that has inadvertently or sadly closed because of what is going on health-wise or otherwise. So while I do talk about these places as if they are in the present, I am sure that they probably have COVID precautions, and also that things could change in a hot minute, you know? I mean, places are opening, places are closing. So what I say to you is, when I'm talking about these places in real life, please remember, sorry, I was just channeling a college professor. Please remember that to do your own due diligence before you head to any of these places. Make sure they're open. Make sure they're safe to go to. They've got, you know, nice spacing with the COVID and everything. But if you were at the Star Hotel in Elko, you would probably be, in normal times, sat with some other people at a big table, which can be kind of fun, literally rubbing elbows, meeting people you normally wouldn't. So the Star Hotel in Elko is a fun place to get some regional treats of the Basque food variety. But then also, here's a fun one. It's called the BJ Bull Bakery. Now, it may not be authentic vintage, which to me is like 50 plus years old, authentic vintage charm. But what they have there is one of Maud Betty's favorite foods, which is pasties. So these are I always think of them as kind of like a Welsh thing, but something from the UK. And it's basically dough, right? You get some filling, you put your dough like a turnover, right? But it's usually savory. They have sweet ones too, but they serve those, and they're nice and hearty meals. And the reason at the BJ Bull Bakery in Elko is they call them the original miners' meals. So again, you've got your people that come over to herd the sheep. You've got people from other places that come over to work in the mines, and they would bring these hearty kind of handheld sandwiches without the crusts, and you can get those too. They also have them. They have like like the Hostess fruit pies that we would get when we were kids, you know. They call them hand pies now because it's pretty much like it's like a deep fried pie. You can get those too. Maud Betty is a fan of those. So BJ Bull Bakery in Elko. Battle Mountain. So we're kind of trucking along here. What we're doing, don't follow this. You're going to get lost if you try to follow this map. But I'm just giving you a general idea because we've got, you know, California here. We've got different states up here. I'm trying to look backwards, but we're going over here. And I just want to mention a quick place here called the Owl Club and Casino. Lot of casinos, Jay. Wicked lot of casinos in Nevada because that's where people like to gamble. But in Battle Mountain, there's a place called the Owl Club and Casino. It's really more like a family restaurant. The exterior of this place is amazing. Really beautiful neon with this swoopy, awesome font. Old school signs, I think from the 1960s. It's been around, the place has been around since the 1880s. But the neon exterior looks really fabulous. So if you're one of those people like me who likes to take pictures of vintage signs, oh good, I'm glad that is a classic. Yeah, that place looks like a total good place. And even if you're just on the road for a bunch of hours and you just want to like get out and stretch, right? And you want to walk around and move the bod and get something to eat, that to me is a great place to go to. So that's the, looking at the wrong place. That's the Owl Casino. Two places in Winamaka. Winamaka, the Griddle. Now I just talked about neon at the Owl. And then honestly, I saw pictures of the sign for the Griddle in Winamaka, and that totally put the place on my map because here's the thing. oftentimes, not 100%, but oftentimes when you see an old school neon sign or like an old school funky sign that is someplace, that means that the business too has been there for a long time. So if you're looking for that authentic mom and pop shop that's been around for decades, oftentimes a vintage sign will be a good kind of visual clue. And case in point, the Griddle in Winamaka opened in 1948. 1948. This is the original location. They actually have a few, they made a little chainette maybe of the Griddle. So there's a few locations in Idaho, but this one in Winamaka, totally, I would just go there. Also, when I saw some pictures on the inside, they've got some really neat, I'm always doing this. This is what I do. I say counter seating because I go like this counter, like you're sitting at the counter, and they have these swivel stools that look really good. These green ones, love that. And I started writing. Here's the thing. I caught myself because I was like, oh, BLD. Usually that means breakfast, lunch, and dinner in my brain. But no, they're only open for breakfast and lunch, but they have another D. They have another D, which is dessert. Yeah, I don't want to run a mucka in Winamaka. Waka waka. So that's good. The other place I want to mention too, let's say you don't want to have anything, like maybe you want a more hearty type meal, or maybe you want dinner. You know, you missed it, the Griddle, because you're on the road. The Martin Hotel. The Martin Hotel in Winamaka is also another Basque-oriented place to get some food. So you could do a thing. I love doing this when I'm on the road, deciding to compare, contrast and compare. Like, ooh, was the Basque food better at the Star Hotel, or was it good at the Martin Hotel? That's been open since 1898. Hearty meals. They've got a restaurant and full bar. So if you want to, little cocktail. And they, again, serve things family style. A lot of meats on these menus too, though they do have salads and stuff like that. But because sheep herders, you're probably going to get some lamb. Just saying, okay? Now, this is a town name that when I wrote it and I pronounced it in my head, I felt like I was speaking, not ubby-dubby, what is it, Igpay Atenlay? So I'm talking about Imlay, Nevada. I can't even say Nevada in Igpay Atenlay. There's a place, this to me is really neat. This is more of like an outsider art establishment, but it's in like the middle of nowhere-ish, up here, okay? It's in Battle Mountain, skip my mind. It's in Imlay, Thunder Mountain Monument. It was built by a gentleman named Frank Van Zant, who was of Creek Indian descent, and he changed his name to Rolling Mountain Thunder. And he made this kind of outsider art, which if you don't know, like outsider art is basically like art made by people who didn't really go to art school, and they just oftentimes will make things from found objects. And I just love that because it's just like primal creativity, and you look at something and you think you could do something cool with it, and then they actually do. So this is a place called Thunder Mountain Monument, and there's over 200 painted cement figures and faces representing Native Americans and their spirits. It was kind of a place that people were giving him a hard time about. He sadly passed away, but now the place is being run by his family. And you can get self-guided tours. His grown children run this. So if you're on the road, and we're going to be heading to our destination soon. I saw, Michael G., you mentioned Johnny Cash. We're going to mention Johnny Cash in a hot minute too. I didn't know he mentioned Winamaka. So I will look that up. But we are on our way to Reno. Reno, yes. Reno is the reason that I was listening to Johnny Cash. Anybody want to know why? Well, you might know why, but if anybody knows what song I was probably listening to, because this is the only song I could think of when I was thinking of Nevada, put it in the comments. What song do you think that I was thinking of when I was listening to Johnny Cash? We're going to talk about Reno, okay? So we're going to talk about Reno. Now, Reno is kind of like, what do I want to call it? Kind of like Las Vegas, but smaller, differenter. But it is one of those towns that's filled with gambling and places to go to, things like that. I tried to pull out a few more interesting things. Yes, Michael, you're close. What song is it, though? I had to look it up myself, actually. Yes, but that's exactly the lines I was thinking of. So in Reno, you've got your gambling, you got your neon, not so much neon now. You've got, you know, more of like your, you know, the little LED lights that are replacing everything. But actually, the neat thing is about Reno, there's actually the Nevada Museum of Art is the only American Alliance of Museum accredited art museum in the entirety of Nevada, and it's there. There's also the National Automobile Museum. And yes, Craig, now you're right. And oh, okay, that's the other one. Got it, people. Oh, you guys are filling me in and letting other people know what's going on too. So I appreciate, keep the comments coming. Feel free to discuss amongst yourselves. I don't mind it. I love it when people connect up in the comments section. And I want to do more of that. I got to figure out how to do that. Maybe like a Zoom call in the near future. But anyhow, Reno, National Automobile Museum. I know how retro road mappers love auto museums, and I think they're kind of fun too. And this one actually has over 200 cars, and including Elvis Presley's 1973 Cadillac Eldorado. Now, Eldorado is also the name of an album from a band that Jeff Cooper and I know about. So there's a thing. Yes, feel free to listen to Folsom Prison Blues. That's great. The other thing in Reno, it's called the biggest little city in the world. It's just a little catchphrase they have. The other fun thing, the biggest little city in the world also has the National Bowling Stadium. So bowling, right? Bowling alleys. This is 10-pin bowling. It's not candle pin like that I like, and it's not duck pin that I also like. But they've got an 80-foot aluminum geodesic dome on its facade that's supposed to look like a bowling ball. And it also has, I think it said, the longest video screen in the world. So you can watch bowling there too. So National Bowling Stadium in Reno, kind of quirky, kind of fun. And also one of only 2 drive-in movie theaters in the entirety of the estate is in Reno. It's the El Rancho Drive-In. Well, technically it's in Sparks, you know, like the band Sparks. Oh, sorry. You know what? Feel free to mock me when I get there. Because you know what? We would probably mock you when I was up in Massachusetts. Nevada. See, you can take the girl out of Boston, but you can't take the Boston out of the girl. So I will do my best. Maybe I'll just call it envy. You'll be envious of how I pronounce it. The other place I wanted to mention in Reno before we hit the road, because I want to make sure I give ample time for the fun places that I want to share with you in Vegas, is Magic Carpet Golf. So it's not golf, meh, boring. Mini golf, miniature putt, you know what I mean? Little pee-wee golf. I love that. Magic Carpet Golf is the largest miniature golf course in Nevada. In Nevada. Built in 1974. 2 18-hole courses, and they also have these fantastical, you know, the little things like the windmills and stuff, and but they've got all the fun, kitschy old schools. Dorchester. Mark Eichelberg, nice to see you. We can talk about, I actually love, I'll be honest, I'm going to go on a quick aside, regional accents. I love them, because who wants to all sound boring and the same? Now I sound like I'm a Kennedy, god damn it. But anyhow, I do love regional accents, and it's always fun to learn how to pronounce things correctly. So, like around here, we've got the Schuylkill River, Schuylkill. You don't even want to know how that is written. In any case, yes, Debbie, mini golf. We can work off some calories doing that. That's one of my favorite sports. So we're going to move down quickly. We're going to hit a couple of places, and I know some of you will be interested in a certain place we're going to get to. 2 places that make me think of my brother-in-law. One I'm going to just mention real quick. It has nothing to do with him, though it is haunted, they say. Haunted. Washoe Club, Museum, and Saloon. Now, it is a saloon, but it's also haunted. Ooh, it's haunted. This is in Virginia City. It's the oldest saloon in Virginia City, established in 1875. And they give daily ghost tours. So I'm sure you could go get a cocktail and a ghost tour and find out why the place is haunted. You know, scary. Now, this place isn't haunted. This next one, I don't think it's haunted, but I just love the story behind it. This is in Mcgill, Nevada. and it's the Mcgill Drugstore Museum. Michael, it's your town. Represent, people. The Mcgill Drugstore Museum. So it used to be a Rexall, right? It used to be a drugstore. And then the pharmacist passed away, not in the shop, but they just locked the door and they just kind of left the place. And then, so that was decades, for only 30 years, it just stood there with the door locked and everything on the shelves from where it was before in Mcgill. And so what they did was they just kind of opened it up. I would like to think they did some dusting, but they opened it up and it's pretty much a museum that's like of an old-fashioned drugstore. So you can go and see like all the old packaging of like, you know, whatever they had back then. Maybe some of the brands don't even exist now. You know, I was going to say like X-Lax. I don't know why I thought of that one because it's an old brand. But, you know, different things like that you would probably see on the shelves. And then they also did this, and you know how much I love a soda fountain. So there's also a soda fountain in this. So this is in Mcgill Drugstore Museum. Not a lot of stuff going on in that neck of the woods, I believe, and Michael will attest. That's kind of in this neck of the woods for Nevada. But now we're heading down here, and actually we'll go over here and then we'll head down here and we'll go here and then we'll spend some time in Vegas, baby. Because that's the place. I desperately was looking for other places, but Vegas does have a lot of cool stuff, so I will mention that. So that was in Mcgill, and then Ellie. When I have a real TV show, I'll make sure to pronounce these beforehand. But there is the Hotel Nevada and Gambling Hall. Again, this is kind of in the middle of a lot of, you know, highway, not a lot of stuff going on. It looks like a casino hotel. There's really just the thing, honestly, that makes me want to mention this place. It's got a cute little wall painting. It's a gigantic wall painting that says Western Hospitality, and it's a little burro, you know, like a little burro, and he's wearing a cowboy hat, and he's like flipping something in a frying pan over a little cowboy fire, you know, and I just thought that was wicked cute. Ely, thank you, Michael. I will fit in like a regular, like a local after this. And then the other place I want to mention too, well, this is kind of funny because I'm going to mention 3 places. I say 3 and my hand goes 2. The Mizpah Hotel in Tonopah. All right, I'm giving up. Tonopah is the only historic hotel of America in the entire state of Nevada. Oy. And it's okay. I'm plowing through anyway. It was opened in 1907, and it was a luxury hotel. It closed. This is kind of one of those stories where places like hotels and everything, they have their heyday, and then they fall on sad times, and then hopefully somebody finds them and revitalizes them. And that's exactly what happened to the Mizpah Hotel. And it reopened in 2011 with 52 luxury rooms, full bar, vintage looking, kind of that I want to say like Victorian, like that turn of the 20th century looking period. And the people who did it loved that idea so much that they actually purchased the hotel across the street called the Belvada Hotel and did the same thing. That's a little bit more boutique-y. Ooh, that's also haunted too. That's good to know. Thank you. And speaking of creepy hotels, and I'm gonna just mention in name because I would be amiss, and I don't want anybody to think I didn't know about it. I'm just gonna mention it. I'm gonna leave it there. Is also in Mizpah, or excuse me, in Tonopah, the clown motel. We've all seen it, right? We've all seen the pictures of the creepy clown motel on the internet. Yeah, no, nope. Retro Road husband used to like scary clowns. I have no interest. So there, if that's your thing, that's where you go. Maud Betty will be in the nice little, not haunted, not creepy clown motel across town. Okay, so that's the place that makes me think of my husband. And then the other place that makes me think of his brother is the Extraterrestrial Highway. The Extraterrestrial Highway goes through Rachel, Nevada. To Area 51. So Area 51, if you're into like the ETs, extraterrestrials, UFOs, you know, conspiracy theories, what's the government do, all that kind of stuff, that's in Nevada as well. Now you can't really go visit it, but it's in that area. There's a cute little motel. It's the Ailey, get this, the Ailey Inn. The Ailey Inn. And there's also, yeah. So there's that. I have the whole, there's a secret, Area 51. What's it all about, Alfie? So if that's your thing, feel free to go stay in a clown motel and go look for UFOs, all right? I will be sipping a martini in a vintage hotel and reading a book, okay? But moving right along, I want to just make sure that I wanted to hit all the places that were not in Vegas before I hit Vegas, because I have a lot to hit in Las Vegas. And hopefully there's some that you haven't heard of, or maybe it's just going to be a nice collection of ones that are like vintagey and whatever. But before we get there, right over here in this little smidge right here, Beatty. God, I hope I pronounced that right. Beatty, like Warren Beatty. Warren, listen to me. I get all worked up and my Boston comes out. Warren Beatty, or Beatty, is the Atomic Inn. The Atomic Inn is a retro-themed Death Valley Lodge in the eastern, and at least I know how to pronounce this, Mojave. I'm kidding. Mojave Desert. Mojave Desert. The Mojave. My sister and I used to call it that, all right? It was kind of funny. Anyhow, if you want to stay in a retro-themed hotel, there's the Atomic Inn. And then there's Goldwell Open Air Museum. There's also a bottle, Beatty. Oh, you'd think I was going to another country if I go to Nevada. Nevada. Oy, whatevs. I'll go. I'll just keep my little Bostonian mouth shut. The Goldwell Open Air Museum is a funky free sculpture park in Beatty. And it's 7 offbeat works by Belgian artists and a gift shop. So there you go with that. Now, we've got plenty of time. I'm looking at my old-fashioned clock here. I'm looking at what I got here. And we're going to talk about Viva Las Vegas, or Viva Lost Wages. Because here's the funny thing. I didn't want to concentrate on Vegas. I wanted to make sure that I gave the entire state a whole, what I had. But then I looked at my map, and this is what I do. I do my research, and I go to certain places on the internet, and people give me tips, and there's places I'm going to go. And then I put the pins on the map, and then when I'm done, I kind of expand out, and I say, where did they all fall? And strangely enough, many of the things that I like are in Vegas. And the crazy thing is I could care less about gambling. Unless I win the Powerball, which would be really fun, because I would just buy a lot of fun. I would like buy up towns and stuff and make them all pretty again. But in Vegas. So here are the heavy hitters. Now, the last time I was in Vegas was years ago. And I'm going to talk about places I went to, places I didn't go to, I'm not going to talk about places that are not there anymore, because we could spend all day doing that. But these are some of those cool vintagey places that are still around in Las Vegas. The number one thing you probably are going to want to do if you are any of that kind of selfie or tourist thing is to head down the strip to the famous Welcome to Las Vegas sign. Now, the neat thing about that, and it's so funny how iconic the imagery is about that. You can picture it as I'm talking. It's like a like a diamond shape with the words in the O's, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? Well, that was designed by Betty Willis. Betty Willis in 1959 and built by Western Neon. The welcome letters are actually supposed to look like silver dollars. It's probably the world, somebody said it online, it's so true. Probably one of the world's most imitated signs. And who is it? There's a place down in Dewey Beach. Oh, the chicken place. Anyhow. When you've seen it, that welcome sign, you've seen it forever, but you can go and get your picture taken. And here's the funny thing, it's so iconic and people love to get their picture taken next to it. And it's replicated over the world. And literally in 1993, it was almost torn down because they're like, oh, that's just a boring old thing. That is what happens a lot of times unless people realize that things will be appreciated in the future. Now it's listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So go down there, get your picture taken, little selfie, little hashtag, and then people know you're in Las Vegas. Now, if there were and we're doing really good on time, so this is good, because I was going to say if I only had a few minutes to tell you about really heavy hitter, awesome places that Maud Betty would totally go to in a heartbeat in Las Vegas, these next few are them. And the one that I will tell you right now is what I call the Neon. I was calling it the Neon Boneyard because the last time I went there, that's what it was called. The Neon Museum of Las Vegas. Such a cool and important part of like just the history, actually the history of the country, because here's the deal. It's like whenever anything, you know, Las Vegas is always reinventing itself. Like Americans, we have this fascination with young and new and things like that. Like things that get old, people who get old, we get wrinkly, all of a sudden, not so much. But so what they've done is people smartly started to save some of these iconic and humongous, giganto, like neon signs and actual buildings too, when they decided that the style of back in the day was outmoded. And now when I went there, it was not as glamorous as it was now. Right now, so here's the funny thing. I've been to Las Vegas twice. And the 2 times I was there, the first time I was there was this wonderful kind of undulating building, looked almost like a seashell, and it was called La Concha, right? Like a conch shell, right? It was this wonderful, just absolute, these parabolas, just really kind of mid-century modern, very awesome. When I went there to Vegas the first time, it was run down like you wouldn't believe, but it was open. The second time I was there, it had been disassembled and it had been moved to the site of the Neon Museum in Las Vegas. And now it is actually, they reconstructed it, little parabolas, looks beautiful. And now that's where you go into, like that's the main entrance to the Neon Museum. So I cannot recommend more highly that is like, to me, probably like one of the #1 places that retro road mappers, you know, do your gambling, whatever, but go see the Neon Museum because they've saved the old neon things. You can go, you can walk around, you can get a tour, you can take some pictures. I took so many pictures. People get married there. You could probably do like you pay enough and you can do a music video. But seeing the quality of craftsmanship and the scale and the color and the styles from back in the day, and thank goodness somebody was smart enough and bold enough to go and save these things before they just ended in a dumpster, right? So, Neon Museum, and you're right, Susan, they are always adding to it. I cannot wait to go back there. So seriously, one place to go to in Vegas, that would be it. Luckily, you have more time. Well, I have more time to tell you. So there are other places I want to tell you about. So that was the #1 place I did go to. One of the places that I was bummed that I didn't get a chance to go to last time I was in Vegas was the Peppermill. So my friend Anna has been raving about it. Oh, Michael, that's awesome. Good job about La Concha. I appreciate that. Isn't that neat? You do something like that, and people from around the world now know that you're part of something good. I love that. But the Peppermill it's funny. When I started Retro Roadmap, I didn't think the Peppermill was that old because it was only made in 1972, which at the time, this is 10 years ago or so. I'm like 70s. That was like yesterday. Anna, yay! I'm talking about the Peppermill. You knew that I conjured you up. She's the one who told me about how that was. And it was opened in 1972. It's got a restaurant, little fireside lounge. It's all pink and purple, and it just looks like the place to go. And I don't remember, I think we were there when we were in Vegas the last time. It was because Retro Road husband, musician, he was playing a gig. So his time, he wasn't able to go exploring as much as I did. So next time we go, we'll go just for fun, and we'll go to the Peppermill. And I love that people are digging the Peppermill right there, so I know I'm on the right track. Maybe if we had, retro road map, night in Vegas, we would all show up there. But I just love that it's one of those places that's kind of embraced its old school decor and whatnot. Yes, Craig, thank you so much for mentioning that. That is on here. So the Fremont Street in downtown Vegas. So downtown Vegas, it's kind of hard to see because I only printed out my sign, but if we could go imagine and I could zoom in, most of the places that I'm talking about here, with the exception of the two places, the neon sign, the Welcome to Vegas sign is actually south. It's in south because it's probably like when people were coming into Vegas from California. So they're going like south to north. But most of the places that I dig are in that old school downtown area. So a bunch of the neon signs in the Fremont Street area is totally where Retro Road Mappers would want to go to. This is kind of up there too. I mentioned earlier in another place, there was a car museum. There's also the Hollywood Car Museum in Vegas with giant museum, movie star automobiles, Herbie the Love Bug, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and James Bond cars. And if you're into these kind of, I'm just going to quickly run off a few names. If you like to go to that kind of like, here's history in a museum versus here's a real life place, because they've got the Hollywood Car Museum. They've got the Pinball Hall of Fame. So if you're into bing, 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 pinball, you can go play in a 10,000 square foot place with, I think last time they counted, there were like a cajillion pinball machines. You could go there. My friend Keith Valcourt, who has been a Retro Roadmap West Coast reporter for the last many years, went there and wrote about that. So you'll find out some information about that on retroroadmap.com. And then also the Atomic Testing Museum. So I think if you go to the Atomic Testing Museum, there may be ways you may learn more about Area 51, things like that. This was a place that we were going to go when we went to Vegas. But you know what we opted to do instead? And I'm so glad we did, because it's not there anymore. We went to the Liberace Museum. It was Liberace's house, and it was fabulous. So any of these places I'm telling you about right now, like put it on your list, because you never know when they're going to be around, when they're going to be, you know, closed down. Like I was so relieved to know that I had seen the Liberace Museum. I got some little matchboxes, like not matchbox cars, but boxes with matches that had the Liberace on it. We had lunch there. We were there with a bunch of red hat ladies. We were the youngest people there by like 30 years. And that was like, I have to tell you, being the young people in the room, very nice feeling. But yes, Atomic Testing Museum, Pinball Hall of Fame, Hollywood Car Hall of Fame. I almost said Wall of Fame. Paul, of course you would be there. Paul is a local from here in PA that moved out to NV, and he probably knows how to pronounce Nevada, like the locals do. So, Paul, maybe you've been to all these places. I don't know. Here's a couple of places that I want to recommend that I would go to go eating. Now, there's a lot of eats you can get to. There's all sorts of places you can go to. But I like those kind of old school vibe places. Obviously, you do too. Retro Roadmap, that's what we're talking about. So 3 places I want to mention that I think would be fun to go eating at. One is Batista's Hole in the Wall. It's an Italian kind of a red sauce joint that I love so much, and it's got a lot of Vegas memorabilia in it, you know, like that whole Rat Pack stuff and everything like that. So that looks like a total kind of old school place to go eat. Also the Golden Steer Steakhouse, old school. I bet steakhouse might be pricey, so maybe when you win at the craps table or something, you go there. But that old school with like the tufted booths and things like that, totally love that. And then if you're really into steaks, and this is kind of like I said earlier on the map, where you've got like downtown Vegas and you've got the Welcome to Vegas sign is south. Well, north, kind of, you have to go out of the city, but this is the oldest restaurant in the Vegas area is Bob Taylor's Ranch House. Opened in 1955. It's a Western themed restaurant serving sizzling steaks, and it's got Western memorabilia, so that kind of cowboy type thing. So that's Bob Taylor's Ranch House, and I bet you could get some ranch dressing at the ranch house. Okay, so let's say you've eaten and you've got a whole belly full of red meat or something else that will keep you from getting too tipsy when I send you to get some cocktails. Now it's 2 places I have a fondness for: the Tiki Bars, the Tiki cocktail places, because oftentimes if they're done up right, it's such a bit of escapism. You know, you get your thatched roofs and you've got your, you know, your smoke machines, and it's just kind of fun. And it reminds me, frankly, of going out for Chinese food when I was a kid in the Boston area, like to Kowloon and stuff. So 2 tiki places I want to mention. The first one is one that most of the tiki people know about, Frankie's Tiki Room. Now, it's not vintage, but it's a total kind of that old school throwback tiki bar. They've got the mugs. You can buy your drink in a mug, and if you pay enough, you can keep the mug. You can buy the mugs. They've got all sorts of stuff, and we tiki people and us collectible type people know how fun it is to get a souvenir of like a fun thing you've had. So Frankie's Tiki Room is one, but then the other one, this was kind of a neat place I had not heard of, was the Golden Tiki. And the reason I thought this was so neat was because it was given to me, the tip to go there was actually given to me by a woman who plays the violin with Wayne Newton. And I met her in Epcot, and we hit it off, and we were actually supposed to go and see Wayne Newton this past summer. I know I'm not the only one in the world who had like a whole calendar of things that we're supposed to do and you didn't do this past year. Well, me going to see Wayne Newton in Vegas and going to Golden Tiki was one of them. He's still alive, right? Got to check that out, but he's still on my list. But the Golden Tiki is a place that Michelle and her husband Jerry recommended, so I'm going to recommend that too. Now, I mentioned earlier souvenirs, and I will say this, I am trying to get so much better at not collecting so many souvenirs. But I'm going to send you to this one souvenir shop anyway, the Bonanza souvenir shop. Is that the official name? Gift shop. Like you give a gift to somebody else, not just yourself. So the Bonanza gift shop has got this humongous sign, like you kind of can't miss it. It used to be the Big Wheel Casino, and all of a sudden it'll make sense why when you see the sign for the Bonanza gift shop, why it's this giant round thing, because it used to be the Big Wheel. It turned into the Bonanza gift shop in 1980, which again seems just like a few years ago. And then you realize it was like 40 years ago, and you're like, holy Moses. But if you ever want to go get something tacky, I don't know, like my snow domes. Oh, I should have brought in one of my snow domes to show you from Las Vegas. Look at me, I'm pretending like I'm shaking it, and you can see the snow going off of like the golden nugget and stuff. You can get dice or die. Well, no, dice, because it would be multiples, where they've drilled the middle out so you can't do anything, but you can just use them and put them on a keychain. Cards, you can buy cards and stuff like that. So I just love a big old tacky gift shop. So that's the Bonanza gift shop. And then, as Craig and I mentioned a while back in the comments, and I just want to reiterate, the Fremont Street area, there's Binions. I always call it Bunions, but Binions, there's neon signs. This is like old school downtown Vegas before it started getting really big and humongous. And it's just kind of a trip to go there. There's a couple of places, the Golden Gate, the El Cortez, and the Downtowner are places you might want to check out to either take pictures or, do your own Googling and see if it's a place you might want to stay. Maud Betty often will highly recommend that you do your own due diligence based on your level of comfort and just what you like in a hotel. I don't often recommend hotels unless I really feel strongly about them, but if these look like places you'd want to stay, by all means do. Two things I want to mention is about Fremont Street is there's a place called Evil Pie, EVEL, and there's been somewhat of a recurring theme in some of these Retro Roadmap Facebook Lives where Evel Knievel has appeared, and it's strange because it's like he has a presence in more than one state. It's kind of crazy, like Snake River Canyon and stuff. And Retro Road Husband used to love Evel Knievel when he was a kid. He actually wrote a song about Evel Knievel, which he's not going to sing right now. But anyhow, they have a place called Evil Pie, which is like an Evel Knievel based pizza shop. We would totally go there in a heartbeat, and a lot of Evel Knievelabilia, memorabilia is there, so I would totally check that out. So that's that. Michael G, I see your comment there, and I will tell you. So we were talking recently today on Retro Roadmap, not about not about Nevada, but just about that idea of regrets and places you've gone and places that close and things you haven't done. And people, this is one of my driving things is memories, not regrets. So like today, we were talking about a place called Roadside America that's just about 40 minutes or so from where I live. It was open for 85 years, pretty much handmade by one single guy, and they closed a couple of weeks, well, they closed a while back, but they're now permanently closing, and they're going to dismantle the whole place. I actually just found out that the gift shop has already been auctioned. All the stuff in the gift shop has already been auctioned off. Breaks my heart. But all I have to say is that, like, I am so glad I carped the diem, as I like to say, and I went to these places. So this is something I'm gonna hound you on as the nicest hounder I can, okay? Because life is short. And you don't want to be like, damn it, I wished I had gone there. A lot of people are saying, oh, I wish I had gone to this place and that place. And it's like, you have to make time for the things that are important to you. And I know that there are a ton of places that you want to get to, but really use this downtime, use this weird space we're in right now to do a brain dump and dump all the places you want to go to. And you say, yeah, I want to go to, like Brian Farr says, like, the Hoover Dam. Like, I went to the Hoover Dam when I was there. It was awesome. Rubbing a little guy's toe for good luck and everything. But figure out the things that are important to you and make a priority and just do them. If this lockdown has not shown us anything, it's like you cannot take anything for granted. And that's me, Mod Betty, getting a little bit on my Just Drive Your Life soapbox, because that's what I talk about on Just Drive Your Life, is figuring out what you want to do with your life and just figuring out to get it done. But I mentioned that because Michael had mentioned Barry Manilow. All right, now bear with me. That is one of the things I realized when I was doing the research here, is that with each one of these states, I say, like if I were to go to that state for the first time, or if I wanted to go back again, what are the important things that I would put high on my list that I want to accomplish and do? And one of them is I really want to go see Barry Manilow in Vegas. I mean, I could probably see him someplace else, but like I would love to go see him in Vegas because I love Barry Manilow. So yes, I totally want to go see Barry Manilow in Vegas. That's an important thing on my list. You may be laughing at me because that's not on your list, but whatever. I hopefully have your own list. So I was thinking about that when there were two things I want to do when I go to Vegas again. Actually, three. One is I would love to see Barry Manilow. And so this is what I did. I took the next step and I said, first of all, is he still alive? He is. And is he even playing, And it looks like on February 19th, 2021 at 7 o'clock, it's a Friday, he's playing at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. So I kind of put that on my, my list of things to do. And yes, dessert first is... Well, that's why you're only seeing me from here up, because I like to eat dessert first. So Barry Manilow is on my list of things, like his show is something I want to go to when I go to Vegas again. And here's one too, Love. The Beatles' Love, the Cirque du Soleil show. Now, that is a show, and I'll be honest with you. So that, we went to Vegas in 2007. That show had only been open like a year. And I was too afraid of how expensive the tickets were. Now, in the grand scheme of things, I have purchased something, I have spent more money on more stupider stuff than that, but I was playing small and I was all like, oh, it's too expensive. And I kick myself often for not just saying, once in a lifetime, let's go do this and buy the tickets. Because now, if I want to go, and I do want to go, the tickets are going to be more expensive because whatever, how many years have passed? Like 13, 14 years have passed. So that's another thing I would like to do that's still happening. So it's like a Cirque du Soleil show, and it's based on the Beatles music. Thank goodness it's still going on, or else I really would be kicking myself. But those are two things I have that I regret not doing when I was in Vegas. And then this is one that's kind of neat too. I will leave you with this one because this is a bit more of the, like the mid-mod map, Mod Betty, like mid-century modern kind of Palm Springsy type thing. There is a house there. It's the Morelli House, and it is now the Junior League of Las Vegas headquarters, but it is a classic 1950s house that they actually moved. It was originally owned and built by the Sands Hotel's orchestra conductor Antonio Morelli, and it was built in 1959 on the Desert Inn Country Club Estates. And then when Desert Inn was purchased by somebody else and they wanted to knock it down and put something else, the the Junior League literally came and moved this wonderful mid-century modern house somewhere else. And it is now, I don't know if it's on the National Register, but it's a pretty awesome 1950s looking kind of mid-century modern home. Looks like there's a lot of cool mid-century houses too that I totally started falling down the rabbit hole looking at, and then all of a sudden I'm on Redfin and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to move to Vegas, but just some really neat stuff. So what I tell you is just a smidge, right? I do my research, and I tell you about the things that, as you can probably tell when I talk about them, that kind of light me up. Okay, state register listed, good first step. Yes, thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. So I get all excited about these kinds of places, you know, vintage and retro and outsider art and tiki drinks and mid-century, and hopefully you do too. But you know what? Maybe all the places that I tell you about, maybe some of them you're like, meh, like, and you like other things. That is totally okay too. What I would love is for you to begin to think or just pay attention to the places and the opportunities that like get you that all kind of bubbly excited inside. You know, maybe you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to go to that sporting thing. Or, oh, I'm trying to think of things I don't really love. Like, oh, I need to go to that cigar, you know, expo, or I really want to go, you know, golfing. Whatever it is that's your thing, own it. And then put more of that stuff in your life, because it'll just give you a good feeling, you know? Like, I am so excited after doing this research to try out Basque food, to, you know, go back to Vegas again. You know, maybe I will go to Area 51. You know, I won't stay in that clowny motel because that wouldn't be fun. But this is what I tell you to do. Just pay attention to the things that are important to you, the places that are important, the things you want to do with your life. Freaking make a list, people. I'm such a list maker, but that's how you get things done. And that's when you get to the end of your life with memories, not regrets. So that said, that was episode 48. 48 times I have shown up in front of my phone talking to all of y'alls. Maybe I will come to Virginia City, Michael. Oh my God, I am so jonesing to get on the road and just get out of Dodge, or the Ville, as it were. I mean, I'm doing it because it's safe and it's the right thing to do. But I like, you know, it's like the greater good. But episode 48, that means episode 49 is next week. And I think, what did I write down here? Washington. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Washington State, right? I'm going to do Washington. We're going to hop over Oregon, and then we're going to go Oregon, and then I will take off the week. I'm not going to show up on Christmas Eve. How lonely would that be? But then New Year's Eve day will be California. And I am always dreaming of driving from the East Coast of the U.S. to California and showing up, kind of like I did on my Route 66 road tour. And so that's going to be a fun episode. I thank you all for showing up today, for consistently showing up, for popping in and seeing what it's all about. It's just me, Maud Betty, here in my little office, trying to connect you all up, get you all excited about getting out on the road when it's safe to do so. And I leave you with the thought of, oh, I don't know, you know, think about this. Are you the driver in your life, or are you a passenger? And what I say to you is get in that driver's seat, find a place you want to go to, and start steering yourself forward, all right? So just drive your life. Maud Betty's going to go drive herself to the post office and mail out some books to people. And I will see you next week. And we'll see you later. Bye.